Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Nerd3's news. It is the 29th of January 2017, and we start with the news that Resident Evil 7 isn't shit. Reviews and the game of Resident Evil 7 came out this week, and apparently it's good. Apparently it's good. Resident Evil's now starting to follow a bit of a trend, because I've only played 2 of the Resident Evil games. I played Resident Evil 1, which is, I only played a very short amount. There's giant spiders in Resident Evil 1, and they drop from the top of the screen, and I was playing it on the DS, and one dropped, and it made me freak out, and I threw my DS, and I never played it again. Then Resident Evil 4 is I've played a lot of, and I absolutely love and adore, but it's not really a Resident Evil game, it's more of a survival action-y thing, completely different to the rest of the series. And now Resident Evil 7, it kind of feels like they're the only good ones. I've never really heard much good about 2. I hear that 3 is terrible, 5 is and 6 is terrible. Actually, they get worse as they go. It's like 1 does a thing, and then 2 does the thing but worse, and then 3 does it but much worse, and then 4 does a new thing, and 5 does the same thing but worse, and then 6 does it but much worse, and then there's a new thing. So you can have 2 more games like 7, and then there'll be a new way of doing it that's better. That's interesting. They should just do different things every time. They'd be much better. In fact, they're sort of doing like a Star Trek thing, because you know the Star Trek movies go like between shit and good. There's if I pull all these off my head. The motion picture, piece of shit. Wrath of Khan, great. Search for Spock, piece of shit. Voyage Home, great. Final Frontier, piece of shit. Undiscovered Country, great. Generations, middling. It's middling. It's middling. That one slightly breaks it. It's middling. I don't think that's a terrible film. First Contact, great. Insurrection, piece of shit. Nemesis, also a piece of shit. Star Trek 2009, okay. Star Trek Into Darkness, massive piece of shit, but has one of the coolest ships ever. And Star Trek Beyond, fucking abominable. In fact, if Trump had signed a declaration saying nobody who likes Star Trek Beyond is allowed in America, I would stand behind him 100%. But let's not dwell. Let's not dwell on that. Apparently Resident Evil 7 is good. I'm not going to touch it with a 10-foot fucking pole, because it's gone back to horror roots, and I have no interest in horror whatsoever at all. It's not my thing, really. In fact, I think I am actually the only YouTube channel not currently playing Resident Evil 7. Hang on, let me check. Yes, I am the only YouTube channel not currently playing Resident Evil 7. Apparently you can play the entire game in VR from beginning to end if you survive and your heart doesn't explode along the way. Which I like. I like that VR's getting sort of like nice killer apps like this. But also I don't like that it's horror that's getting those things. I don't want VR to become just a horror thing. Oh, speaking of, did you see the guy who made... Fuck, what was it? McPixel. I think it's the guy who makes McPixel is making a mosh pit simulator in VR, but it's like a goat simulator kind of thing. And it's got that sort of like weird glitching out graphics, and it doesn't look like it's going to be my kind of thing. I'm not into the glitchy outy kind of thing. But the guy's Twitter feed, and Christ, I can't remember what it is now, is fantastic. If you find the developer, I'll try and remember the link in the description, but his feed is fantastic because he's building the game and he's tweeting all the weird glitches and stuff that happen, and some of them are just ridiculously hilarious. That's the thing to check out. Maybe not the game, but that's definitely a fun... at least he's making a fun Twitter feed. Yeah, Resident Evil 7. Good! Yay! Well done, you're doing a horror thing. Spooky girls and... I don't know, booze. There's apparently a lot of jump scares. I'm really not into jump scares. They're the worst thing on the planet, shortly after Piers Morgan. Nintendo have released the specifications for the Nintendo Switch. Somebody said, oh, Nintendo released the full specifications for the Nintendo Switch. And I went on their page, and they don't list any specifications. They kind of go, yeah, these bits plug in here, but they don't list RAM or GPU or DPU or NPU. That's knees per unit. They don't release any of the actual information that you'd want to know. Apart from one interesting thing on the page is that that little button that's under their really terrible looking circle D-pad is a capture screenshot button. Now I knew that was a capture screenshot button. I believe that was said when it was announced and stuff. But in a little a bit underneath that, it says, please note, you will also be able to capture video footage after a future update. Nintendo are allowing video capture. Now Nintendo are known... especially in circles that I wander around in, for being bastards! Utter bastards when it comes to YouTube. They're like, yeah, you can make videos for a game as long as you give us all the money and blowjobs and basically say we're brilliant. They're not great, is an understatement. They're probably one of the worst people... They're the 2 worst people to work with the indie developers that for some reason keep going after Jim Sterling, and Nintendo. They're the two worst people to try and make YouTube videos of their games. So, I don't know why they're going to allow the video capture thing. It seems weird that that's a thing that they'd... I mean, it's, you know, it's going through HDMI so I can capture it anyway, but it's weird that they're doing that sort of thing. Maybe it's more of a, ooh, share my bits with... not share your bits, you probably get kicked off Nintendo for sharing your bits, but share your things with other people. It seems possibly maybe they may be softening. Maybe they will soften on the whole YouTube thing. I doubt it. I really doubt it, because as I've aforementioned, they're bastards and they're making quite a bit of money. Well, they're not really making quite... They're making... See, that's the thing, is when, like, if they take a little few pennies off a YouTuber, that's no money for them whatsoever, but it's a livelihood for the YouTuber, especially in January. Oh, Jesus Christ. My CPM, how much money I get paid per advert, is currently at 25% of what it was in December. I am earning 25% of what I earn in December. That's just horrible! And then Nintendo would want to cut that. I mean, because already YouTube gets 45 or 55%, and then networks, and then Taxman twice. And I actually only earn 11 pence a year now from YouTube, which is a shame. But I sell dogs on eBay, so I make my money there. That'd be great. Just one dog. Oh, yeah, I'll buy a dog. Would you? I wonder if you can sell actual animals on eBay. I wonder if I could sell Matt on eBay, actually. That would be... Oh, on that note, I don't actually know what game's in the background, because I'm kind of quite fine with when this has to go up. So I've asked Matt to get footage for me. So you're seeing a game. I don't know what it is, but I'll link to it in the description. If it's... I said go for an interesting indie thing, but he was swearing at the time, so I don't think he heard me. So we'll see what comes up there. Anyway, yeah, the Switch is doing its thing. I'm going to click to my thing. I'm doing lists. I'm making sure I remember all this shit. Oh, Mass Effect Andromeda got a trailer thing, which I didn't really care for. I'm really weirdly on the fence of Mass Effect at the moment, because I really like the first Mass Effect. And I really quite like the second one. I really don't like the third one, because for me, Mass Effect was about fucking around on a space station and talking to people, actually having a living space station that you could go on. That's what I loved about it. It was very Star Trek, and I could fulfill my Star Trek fantasies with... This is going to be a Star Trek heavy episode, I've just decided. But yeah, I could... That's what it was for me, and then it sort of drifted off into Star Wars a bit. It kind of went from Star Trek to Star Wars. I like things more Star Trek. Star Trek is like, you know, digging deep into the human being's life, and see, you know, they're exploring the space, but they're also exploring themselves. And Star Wars is very much laser beams and aliens. And laser beams and aliens are great, but it doesn't have the introspective nature of Star Trek, which I prefer. And Mass Effect kind of shifted over into, oh, let's save the world. So the Mass Effect Andromeda trailer dropped, and the whole plot is like, you're the humankind's last hope. I'm like, oh, fuck off. Why? Why can I just be trying to keep my band of 6 people alive? Why am I always human? I know, I don't want to be humankind's last hope anymore. I'm bored of being the only one who can save the day. There are stories to tell where you're not just the number one. This is why I love the film Cloverfield so much. Because in Cloverfield, nothing gives a fuck about the characters. Like, the big monster, the military, the president. No, like, if Cloverfield was made by anybody else, really, and it was any other monster, it would just be the president making decisions, and the people, the military people, and the scientist people going, ooh, and all these people who are involved with it and sorting it out. That's the story. But that story's been told so many times, why not just tell the story of the guy who gets squished on the ground? That's a much more interesting story. That's why I love Cloverfield. But the thing I was kind of hoping onto with Mass Effect Andromeda is it would be more Star Trek, and it'd be more we go to a place and then we have to explore and investigate and build up relationship and stuff, but it looks a bit more Star Warsy. But the news that came out with this trailer was that you get a 10-hour trial of it 5 days before launch on the... Oh, fuck, what do they call it? It's EA Access or something? You can get a hold of the game early and you could do some jibs with it, do some exploration. I don't know. They haven't really specified what's in the 10 hours as far as I can tell. It might be, I believe it is some of the single player. It might only, like, get you to a certain point and then stop. But it might have some multiplayer in it. So it might be you could just play the multiplayer stuff if they're doing multiplayer again. I really wasn't a fan of the multiplayer in Mass Effect 3. I really wasn't a fan of it because it fucking put the fucking tied into the fucking main game to get you the fucking good ending, which is fucking piece of shit. But the Mass Effect 3. That was a fuck up, wasn't it? I don't remember anything really that happened. I remember a few sad death scenes, but like the rest of the game was very bland. Like Mass Effect 1, I remember loads of bits. In Mass Effect 2, I remember loads of bits, and Mass Effect 3, I kind of just remembered like it felt a bit more like a slog. Doesn't fucking matter. I'm still middle of the fence for Andromeda. It's coming out really soon. We've seen, right, no footage for that game. Like, absolutely fucking nothing. Like, really, I haven't... by this point, normally you'd have huge, long trailers and all that sort of thing. But they really... Nothing has come out from Mass Effect Andromeda. And that's slightly worrying me. And I don't think this is going to be as good as the first three, based on the fact that they're just not showing anything. Like, we've seen the teeniest, tiniest, little itty-bitty small bit of gameplay, and that's kind of it. By this point, normally we'd have loads of trailers and things explaining it and stuff. I mean, it's out in less than 2 months. Did you know? Did you realise that it was out in less than 2 months? I mean, it feels like it should still be years away with how much we've seen from it. I don't know. Maybe we should have seen more. I don't know. I'm yeah, middle of the... we'll see how it goes kind of thing. I'm not going to rush out on launch day to buy it, because it comes out, I think it's like 3 or 4 days after Star Trek VR, and I won't have a life. By that point, I will be just playing Star Trek VR forever. I think that's what's going to happen to this channel, is Star Trek VR comes out, I think it's the March 19th? It's supposed to come out fucking November last year, but I think it's coming out sort of March 19th. Is it March 19th it's coming out? Possibly. Yeah. Anyway, that's coming out, and then that'll be the thing. So I think I'll get my fix there and not really with Mass Effect. But we'll fucking see. Who gives a shit? That's Mass Effect thingy. Oh, this is news that Todd Biscuit is forcing me to tell you. Is that there's a new WWE game for mobile phones that's it's a match 3 puzzler way. It's Puzzle Quest, but with wrestling. And I played a little bit of it today, and the spider of microtransactions is deep in that game. It's kind of like it keeps going like, hey, remember to heal your superstars, remember to heal your superstars. I'm like, okay, sorry, fine. How do I heal them? Oh, you can use this really limited resource. Ah, okay. Yeah, me and microtransactions aren't friends. You know this. But I played it. It's a match 3 puzzler. If you like match 3 puzzlers, but allergic to anything that isn't wrestling, then this is the game for you, I suppose. It's got like 80 playable characters, but really you are just matching a puzzly thing, and then on the top half of the screen some people are punching each other. It has quite a few interesting... I will say that it's got some interesting mechanics. So when you get to pin someone, like everything you do, all the bits, you collect like all the different colours. The green colours, the blue colours, the red little things that you match together. Like, each wrestler has a different how much damage that'll do, and they're all, like, a brawler will do, like, yellows are stronger or whatever it is. But you have to, so you do your damage to your opponent. If you get the health bar all the way down and do a finisher, or I think just do a standard move, really, you pin them and then you get pinned. You can pin them earlier, and then they'll have to do a certain amount of damage to kick out of it, so they have to match 3. They get 3 shots of matching 3s to kick out of it. That's a nice little mechanic. There's some nice little mechanics there, but it feels too far into the whole microtransaction thing. For me, it's just a little bit too far into that. Just spiders. The horrible. So am I playing this? When's this? That's really what it is. It's like, it's kind of like, what fucking game? There was a game it might have been Kane and Lynch actually, which is the Kane and Lynch 2 is a piece shit game, but the original Kane and Lynch was a piece shit game. It had good multiplayer. There was a game where you had to do a heist. At any point you could betray your co-op people. It was like you had to work together to do a thing, and then at any point you could betray them and start killing your friends to try and score them over. And you could really screw them over at the last possible minute. And whenever I'm playing a microtransaction phone game, I always play like that. I'm always like, all right, someone's going to fuck me over in a minute. Like, I can never really relax. It's always an on-edge thing. But that's kind of it. Really, that's yeah. I've talked about fucking phone games enough. I don't need to. Let's talk about something weird. Deck Splash. Deck Splash is a game made by fucking Hellbrain. Bossa Studios. That's the ones, isn't it? The ones who made Surgeon Simulator and the much better I Am Bread. I do like Surgeon Simulator, but I think I Am Bread is a... Actually, you know, I really like Surgeon Simulator. I think it's just... Surgeon Simulator feels quite a bit dated now. It's weirdly aged because we've had so many games that came off of that it feels really quite dated. But I think Iron Bread is a really fun game. I really like it. If you've not played Iron Bread, it's not YouTuber bait. A lot of people are like, oh, it's YouTuber bait. No, it's a really genuinely fun game to play. It has lost mechanics. It's not just like, oh, silly physics and stuff. It's really inventive. I really like Iron Bread. I can't recommend that game highly enough. Can't recommend it highly enough. But they've announced their next game, which is called Deck Splash, which is Splatoon meets Tony Hawk's. Actually, Splatoon meets those little finger skateboards you used to get, because you only control the skateboard. There's no man on the skateboard, and you're doing tricks. And it seems that the bigger a combo you get, when you land, you splash a bigger area with paint or whatever it is, and then whoever has the biggest area at the end wins. It feels a lot like the old Tony Hawk's multiplayer games, where if you did a trick on a thing, then it would go your colour. So it's like that, but instead of the very specific getting like individual bits, you're just splashing an area with colour. And I think I prefer the individual bits way. I'm not sure. I haven't played this yet. It's not even in alpha yet. They've just announced it. But I liked playing a multiplayer, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to kill everyone. And then you see like somebody else's colour on a rail that you didn't even know you could get up to. I used to play PS2 online. I used to actually have the network adapt thing to play PS2 games online, so I could do those games and play ridiculous. I used to be so fun at Tony Hawk's, like million-point combos. Just fuck people over. Just do that, combo an entire thing. Then they think they're winning and then just land at the end and the whole map goes your colour. That was the shit. And I really liked, yeah, just like getting the individual bits. But this seems to just be like a spludge of colour depending on when you land. Which feels a lot more abusable. And you can get like certain areas and then just like land and jump stuff. Don't quite know. Maybe it'll be fun to play. A lot of people are criticising it for being exactly like Splatoon. But I don't know what that's like because I've not played Splatoon. I have no interest in Splatoon really, because it doesn't involve doing flip tricks, and I like doing flip tricks. I'm bored of shooting. I've had just a slightly to go off topic. This whole thing this really is all off topic. There's the question that always asks, and I've seen somebody else it's bounding around again, is that are video games violent? Are video games too violent? And I think the question's sort of the wrong way around. I think what we should be asking is, are too many games violent? Because most of the games that come out, that AAA games that are very successful, all involve combat and shooting and violence and beating up and blood and slicing. It's really weird to get a successful game that isn't to do with that. And that's kind of one of the things, that's one of the reasons I think a lot of us cling on to Nintendo. I mean, I cling on very lightly. But Nintendo used to have that. They used to fucking nail the non-combat stuff. They still do. I mean, you've got stuff like Animal Crossing and thing. They're really the only company that's going to bring that to the table, because everything else is just shooting, and that's it really. It's just shooting these days. Maybe Deck Splash is the more Nintendo Splatoon. Actually, that makes more sense. If Deck Splash had been what Nintendo had made, maybe I would have thought... If you'd shown me that, if I hadn't known Splatoon and Deck Splash, I would have said that Deck Splash was the more Nintendo one, because it didn't involve combat. That's an interesting thought. Anyway, it's a boring thought. It's a massively boring thought. But, yeah, the other ones listed is I haven't played Splatoon. What's the other one I haven't played? The Nintendo... I was going to play. Not Nintendo. Shit, it wasn't Nintendo. Who the fuck released a thing that I was like, I totally want to play that. Oh, Insomniac's Xbox One game. I really want to play that. What was it called? Oh, Sunset Overdrive. That's, again, violence. But I wanted to play that. And that's nothing to do with this, but I needed to say that out loud so I remember it. Actually, you know what else I want to play that I found out that came out on Good Old Games? Good Old Games released a couple of games. Well, actually, one game this week and then one a while ago. They've fucking released SWAT 4, a game I'm really fucking pumped to play. Because SWAT 4 is like an old Rainbow Six planning and tactics kind of game where you're not... Because you're police, not army, you're supposed to go in and not kill anyone. You're supposed to make people surrender and do everything non-lethally and actually do loads of tactics and planning and stuff. And that is my kind of fucking game. So, yeah, SWAT 4, it's always been a... It's like widely known for being an absolute dick to set up on current PCs and stuff, and Good Old Games have jumped in there with a their own version of it, so it actually runs really nicely. I bought it immediately. I've installed it, and I will probably do a video on it later this week. But yeah, no, certainly excited for that. I also found out the Good Old Games re-released Stunt Island. Fucking hell, Stunt Island was like the birth of machinima and stuff. It was... Stunt Island was like basically a flight simulator. It's old, man. It's like the first 3D graphics, like pre-PlayStation 1 kind of stuff. Like when it was just about 3D textures, just about holding together. Well, no, not textures, just 3D models barely holding together. But in Stunt Island, you had you basically just had to fly a plane around and do a thing, but then you could edit the videos together and stuff. Oh, you could make your own videos and things. That was like you could crash planes into buildings and the buildings would fall down. Oh, how we laughed about that back in 1993 or whatever the fuck that game came out. Shit, how old is Stunt Island now? Far too fucking old. I'll probably do a video on that as well, because if I get that to record, because I bet that'll be an absolute dick. But they re-released that. It's another reminder that Good Old Games is an amazing service that we absolutely need. It's also, just as a quick point, Good Old Games, Heads. The game Heads, H-E-D-Z, which stood for Head Extreme Destruction Zone, as games in the fucking late 90s, early 2000s did. Put that on the old thing, because you did Uprising, and I think the only problem with I can't get Heads or Uprising working from the disc versions because they had they were 3DFX, which just doesn't work on modern cards. But you made Uprising work, so please could you remake Heads? If you put Heads on there, I will do a complete series on it, because Heads is one of the best. It's not the best. It's one of the most. It's a piece of crap, but it's a piece of crap that I fucking adore. It's a game where you play as it's like Alien Wars, but all the aliens wear different heads. It's kind of a bit Pokemon-y, in a weird way. It's a third-person shooty game, because they all are. But you play... fuck, how do you even explain Heads? You play as a purple alien who can't do anything, and you put heads on, and the heads give you different abilities. The heads actually completely change your characters. You basically bring along like a party of 6 characters that you can switch between, and they all have different weapons and abilities and stuff. And you, to get more of them, you fight the enemy ones through the levels. And when you kill the enemy, they drop their head in like this pickup, and you've got to grab it, because if they grab it first, they beam away, and you don't get it, and you have to kind of redo the level. So to get you, it's like a game where you're trying to constantly battle new opponents to get their stuff. It's so good, and it just doesn't work on any modern thing. Good Old Games, if you're listening, please, Head Extreme Destruction Zone. I want it. I want to play again. I want to play again so bad. Because I've got it. I've got the actual old school disc that I've played since I was small, but now it doesn't work anymore. And I've tried running like I've tried to make like a Windows 95 virtual machine, but it just doesn't have it. Graphics cards don't work with 3DFX anymore. I might try and crack out my old Voodoo Banshee Extreme. Fuck yeah, that was a card. But I don't think it's gonna particularly take away. I don't think we use the same electricity as we used to use back when there was the Voodoo Banshee and the Voodoo 3. Oh, good times. But yeah, Heads, fuck man, that's such a good game. The aliens are really powerful and weird, and all the levels are really fun. You get ones that fly and drop bombs, and there was like his egghead who fired missiles and stuff, and I had the demo for it for ages, and I played it so long and so much, and God, that was a game. I will play the shit out of it. Yeah, seriously, Good Old Games, make that, I will do a series on it. I don't think you care about that fact. That's just, I will drop everything and do a series on that. Actually, thinking about it, I was going to do a series on Giant Citizen Kabuto. Because they re-released that, and I totally forgot about it until just this moment. Oh, fucking hell. I want to go through Good Old Games as what they've released, because I bet I've missed things I absolutely love. That's what I'm going to do. This isn't news, this is now just me whittering on. Let's get on with the news, and not much left to go this week. We've got Star Trek Online. I told you it'd be Star Trek heavy. Star Trek Online has started Series 12, Season 12 of its episodes and things and giveaways. It's celebrating... The only reason I want to mention this, I do play quite a lot of Star Trek Online at the moment because I need a Star Trek fix. It's like proper Star Trek. Even though it's a bit boring, but it's fine. And I use the ship from Into Darkness because I'm a prick, and I love it. It's beautiful. Fuck you. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful ship. It's from a shitty film, but it's beautiful. Just because something was in a shitty film doesn't mean it's any less beautiful. Like, insert fucking Bruce Willis. Yeah, Bruce Willis is beautiful, but Die Hard 5 is fucking atrocious. So is the whole 10 yards. Yeah, they're doing a thing, and if you actually... fuck, it's probably finished by now, but they were doing giveaways and stuff, and they were giving away ships and things. But they started Series 12. The reason I want to bring this up, I've forgotten, but it might come back to me if I keep talking. Pause. Why the fuck did I want to mention this thing? Oh yeah, no, because it's 7 years old. Star Trek Online has now been running for 7 years. It's free to play now, and I will be doing things with it and starting fleets and stuff up. But, because I've started to get into it quite a lot recently. Actually, it plays really nicely. I played through the whole... I got all the way through, like, to level 60 without even slightly needing anything to do with microtransactions. Like, it's really nice for microtransactions. It's really nicely... It genuinely is nicely done. You get ships given to you every 10 levels, so you never feel like... And I never got the point I was like, oh, the game's stopping me from doing a thing here. It felt nice. I suppose the further I get into it, the more it's going to feel like that. But, you know, if you just want to play through the levels and stuff, which are pretty good, then you got that thing. But the reason I wanted to bring it up was because it's 7 years old now, and correct me if I'm wrong, which you probably will, that means that Star Trek Online is now the longest running Star Trek series. Because all the TV series, like, the original one was like half a series, it was really short. Next Generation, I think, was 7. Deep Space Nine was, what, 5? Oh, man, I don't know. Voyager was 55. It was way too long. But I mean, like, of course, there was the original, there was a few series and then films that went on forever. But I think that now, just from the TV show, Star Trek Online would be the longest running one. Which I just think is just an interesting thing. Fuck it. It's an interesting thing. And also, I want to end on a high note. I like to end these things at a high note. There's a link in the description to a Reddit post that is fucking magical. Okay, it's absolutely fucking magical. For most of you will know that the new series of Sherlock has come and has gone. Mixed reviews for that series. I thoroughly enjoyed the middle episode. I thought that was spectacular. The end two were a bit sort of a little bit too focused on the thing. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter. The Sherlock community thought there was a 4th hidden Sherlock episode that was going to air on last Sunday. I missed this for last Sunday's news, but they thought there was going to be a 4th hidden episode because there was a new series called Apple Tree Yard or something that's running on BBC at the moment, and they thought it looked so fake and shit that it wasn't real and it was a cover for a secret episode of Sherlock. Ignoring the fact that the DVDs for the series had already shipped, they kind of just assumed, and the fact that like nobody was mentioning it else, and like BBC America didn't have a space for it. I love the fact that the Sherlock fandom saw a different TV show and went, that could be a cover-up for Sherlock. That 5-part series. Oh, and then this list, this Reddit post I'll link to, is a list of like, it's over 20 things. Over 20 just points that could possibly make it. And some of them, it's the most tinfoil hat brilliance I've ever seen. Whoever wrote that is a lunatic, a madman, and also incredibly filled with tinfoil. Like, not tinfoil hat, this person has clearly ingested tinfoil at some point. I just went point. Completely changed my action for a second then. But yeah, I mean, some of the stuff, like number 13, there was a big apple tree on John Watson's wallpaper in his baby room. And Arwell Wynne Jones, who is the production designer of Sherlock, said, it's all about the wallpaper. That's okay. That's a thing. Apparently 15, there's still only one trailer and it features only 3 actors. Strange for a primetime series. I love that they felt so disappointed by that series of Sherlock, they thought there was actually going to be a 4th episode to redeem it. Which would have been magical. It would have been the most magical thing ever. But that's, like, it would have fucked over everybody who pre-ordered the DVD and all the other countries that weren't running it, and someone would have leaked that. But, yeah. Anyway, you can read that. It's filled with absolute fucking brilliance. I love the fact that the top comment is just the mod saying, holy shit, guys, which definitely sums up the things. But anyway, that's the news. That was the news for last week. Yeah, next week, I don't know. Oh, I do know. I haven't done plays videos for a little while. I've been really fucking swamped. I've been missing out on like the Dad Cube videos and stuff. I didn't do the live stream Wednesday. I've been really busy. So I took a little bit of a break. But coming back on Monday with a video that is gonna blow your fucking minds. Seriously. You are not fucking prepared. See you Monday!